In Valencia, we decided to take a risk and stay outside the city center in the old Fisherman's District by the beach.
You are listening to Travel FOMO, a podcast for people self-diagnosed with wanderlust.
Thank you for listening to the Travel FOMO podcast. I am so glad you found us. My name is Jamin Houghton, and I am here with my wife and travel companion and beach lover, Hillary.
Travel companion, beach lover, yes, for sure.
And we are kicking off our new season. Last week was San Sebastian. This week, Valencia, as we make our way through Mediterranean Europe.
Oh my goodness, the Mediterranean. It gets me really hopped up. I love it.
Is there anything that you would rather do than go to the beach?
I mean, honestly, I have a hard time because when we're in beachy places, I just want to be at the beach and I don't even want to sightsee.
Right.
I want to be at the beach. And so that's a hard one for me. I really think I get more out of things if I do stuff other than sit at the beach, but I really enjoy just being at the beach.
Yeah. You definitely love going to the beach, being at the beach. And for you, going to the beach is like an all day thing too. If you had it like your way,
yes,
you would get up, go to the beach, and people would just bring you your meals and you would stay on the beach the entire day.
Yes. It makes it sound like I'm a resort kind of person, but I'm totally down with also, I love resorts, but also just packing an ice chest and all the drinks you need and all the food you need, or bringing money to have, grab something to eat on the beach. But yeah, I'm all about it. My idea of going to the beach, same with snow skiing, our family, it's not like something you do for part of a day or for an hour or so. It's like the thing you do for the whole day. So it's like when I say, hey, and maybe Thursday we could go to the beach, I mean, the only thing we'll do on Thursday is go to the beach.
Right.
So that's pretty funny because you're not exactly that way. You can get just enough and thoroughly enjoy the beach with just a little bit.
Yeah, I enjoy the beach. I like going to the beach, but after a little bit, I'm kind of like, okay, what's next? And I also burn a little bit easier than you. So without some kind of shade, more than half a day at the beach is dangerous.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say that too, because all of the European beaches, there's not a ton of tree coverage or anything like that, or palm trees that much either. It's like you are just out in the sun.
Yeah. It's just out there baking.
Yeah.
But we did find probably our favorite beach of Europe in Valencia, definitely one of the top ones.
Yeah.
It was amazing there. We went to Valencia after San Sebastian, so we went to some pretty cool beaches in San Sebastian.
So great.
If you missed that episode, make sure to go back and catch it. Had so much fun there.
San Sebastian was probably our top destination in Spain.
I would agree. Yeah.
Our favorite place, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And definitely way up there overall.
Yeah.
And a huge recommendation, when people ask, where should I go? If you're going to one place, I would say go to San Sebastian.
Yeah.
It's hard to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it a little tricky. But if you're just wanting to go to one spot and it be amazing, the food, the culture, the beaches, the weather, all of it, San Sebastian just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah. I feel guilty for saying that on the Valencia episode, but Valencia is also awesome. And so we've got some really, it was just interesting. The place we stayed at was interesting. The downtown area was so interesting. There was just a lot of interesting things about it.
Yeah. You definitely felt in Valencia like this is cool. We're on a really cool trip.
Yes.
Here in Valencia. And it took a long time to get to Valencia from San Sebastian because we traveled across almost all of Spain, north to south, quite a bit of it. And it took 8 hours.
Yeah.
By
train.
It's a long time. And the trains were nice. and everything was running on schedule. There weren't any delays or anything like that. It was just a long
It's
ways
just
to go.
Spain is really big.
Yeah. And there was not a ton to look at most of the way.
Right.
Like it was like, okay, we're going to listen to some podcasts and
It was almost deserty in
Yeah.
some places. Some of the landscape was. Yeah. And we even got there, like, even despite it being like an 8-hour travel day, we left really early and we arrived like even before the Airbnb was scheduled to open.
yeah, we did make it a little early. We weren't sure how long it would take us to get from the train station to our actual Airbnb, but we ended up navigating it to where we were able to get at a stop fairly close. And so we walked over to the Airbnb. The host was very nice and let us in early.
Yeah.
And the Airbnb was pretty incredible.
Oh my gosh. Talk about like local vibes.
Yes. Yeah. So we decided for Valencia that we would stay outside the city center, which if you wanted to stay in the city center in Valencia, it would be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's a beautiful, beautiful city. So there was nothing wrong with the city center. We just wanted to try something a little different.
Yeah.
And so we stayed in what used to be the old Fisherman's Village part of the city.
Which was also close to the beach. So
Yes.
wasn't sad about that.
Right. It was very close. Beach access and part of the city that was just sort of older and a little more, I don't know that authentic is the right word, but more local. So
Yeah.
less traveled, less tourists, things like that. More locals. The restaurants around there and the bars around there were frequented by locals. It was very much a part of the city that was off the beaten path.
And it was like very lived in. You felt like you were in somebody's neighborhood. There's like the
Yes.
local pharmacy and the grocery store, and it's
Mhm.
all right there. And you could definitely tell that like people reside here.
Yes. And if you were to look at the streets, you might go, that has potential to be a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look closer, you would notice that there's no trash.
No trash at
Like,
all.
Extremely clean.
Yes.
Everybody there really cares about their homes and their neighborhood. Everyone there is super friendly. I never felt unsafe, and we
Right.
walked around all hours. It was amazing. And the place we stayed was an old fisherman's house. It was over 90 years old.
Yeah.
They had completely restored it, and it was incredible.
Yes.
Tile floors, tile up the walls, like 4 and 5 feet up the walls, all around the entire place, like so through the living room, through the bedroom. The kitchen had been completely redone and was like brand new and beautiful. They have a little courtyard sort of patio area with trees and plants and a lot of greenery. So you had this amazing outdoor space
Yeah.
that was connected to the living room and to the kitchen. So it was kind of this half square around it. And that also let in a ton of natural light.
Yep.
It was just a beautiful place. Like the carpentry, built-in cabinets and doors and things like that was so specialized and so unique
Yes.
that it was just incredible.
Yeah. Well, and if I may elaborate on something you said, you mentioned tile everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in America, we think of tile and we think of the tile in your bathroom or something like that.
Right.
This was very different than that. This was
Yes.
Spanish ceramic tiles. Oh my goodness. Like, and they would create patterns and images throughout the place. It was also very colorful because that's how Valencia ceramic tile is,
Yeah.
right? It's got that
Mhm.
Spanish, that vibrant Spanish color. So imagine, you walk into these doors and there's these 2 wooden doors that are as old as the building. I'm nearly certain they were crazy old. You had to be really careful with them. And you open these 2 wooden doors and then you walk in and it is just the most intricate tile work everywhere, like up to eye level. It's just tons of it all over the floor. The bathroom was ornate. everything about it was so ornate. The thing I loved about it too is that like it's not like it was newly renovated so much as newly refurbished, which I think was even one of the words you said, was like it was made to look like its original glory.
Yeah, they really had restored it to what it was back in the day. They actually lived above, like in the apartment above. So it was a local person, which felt good too. A lot of times with Airbnbs, that's kind of the idea of an Airbnb, is you're like, oh, I'm helping this local person rent out their space while they're not in it or something like that. And sometimes you can get caught up with like, oh, this Airbnb is actually just owned by this business, and it starts to feel really corporate.
Yes.
And that doesn't feel as nice.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was the whole vibe that you're going for. Like, the person who owns this lived upstairs. He had done the work. And when he walked us through, he was really proud of how they had restored it. It would have been easy to just gut the thing and go back in with like IKEA everything and make this rental space, but he didn't. He took the time and the effort and the money to restore it to what it was. And it was so special because of that.
Yeah, for sure. You could tell they put a ton of thought and focused effort on making it amazing. So cool. And then like the bathroom, I'll never forget, like when I was reading through the history of it and everything, the bathroom used to be just like a bathroom out on the patio, I guess.
Yeah.
And so they like moved it into something that used to be maybe the butler's quarters or something like that.
Yeah, it was almost like a little closet.
It was like a little closet. I mean, it was tiny, but they did turn that into an indoor bathroom for people. So that was like one of the big things they probably had to change, but they kept the character of it. It looked like it was original. It was beautiful.
And because we were in a local place, we got to go to the local grocery store.
Yeah, so we were shopping at the local grocery store, Mercadona. I think that's how you'd say that. But it's one of the popular grocery store chains in Spain. And this one in particular was really nice. It was probably the nicest one that we had seen since starting Gap Year.
Yeah.
I like made a note of that, you know, because I was like really impressed. And it was big too. It had like a lot of grocery stores were pretty small. And this one was very big with lots of options.
It was, yeah. I remember being struck by that as well.
Yeah. And we bought canned fish again because we knew Spain was really good at their canned fish. We bought some cured ham, some prosciutto. It's honestly, all that stuff is so expensive in America, but it was so cheap there.
Very affordable.
So crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
The price difference.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was incredible because we would get like for €1, we could get like some salami.
Yeah.
Or like €1, we could get like some prosciutto or something. That was crazy to me. So we could have like this incredible spread and have like a charcuterie board for dinner, and it would be like crazy cheap. And that's what we did that first night, actually.
Yeah.
I even got some avocados while we were at the grocery store because, I mean, I'm from Texas and I'm a big fan, and I have avocados. I always have like one or two in the fridge.
Yeah, there's
like,
always some kicking around
at all times. It's good with everything. And so I was trying to eat some for breakfast and stuff. So, and you know, the thing I noticed and made a note of is that it was really easy to eat healthy in Spain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So easy. And everything was so delicious, but also everything was pretty healthy and so much fresh fish and stuff like that and fresh produce. It was...
Yeah,
cool.
we ate a lot of fresh fish, and I agree, like it felt like a treat, but it was still healthy.
Yeah.
Which is so hard to find.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially in America, when you have something that you're like, I really like this. It's the local delicacy that everyone's like, oh, you got to try this and that, and it was also healthy.
If you're listening to this, you like a good adventure. And if you like a good adventure, you might enjoy following the fights. It all started with Mars and Ashley's bold decision to travel full-time in their converted Sprinter van. Fast forward 6 years or so, they've seen all 50 states and backpack countries like Thailand and Guatemala. It's been one daring decision after another, and now they're braving another big adventure, building a creative retreat in the Colorado Rockies. Find out what life is like when you take risk. Follow the fights on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We were pretty tired that day in particular. You were really tired.
Yeah, it had been a long travel day with like on the trains and everything. We had to get up early to catch the train that we needed to, and then walking around. And so I was pretty worn out. We just decided to go to the beach.
Yeah, which was
first evening.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was great. So we just walked along the beach for a while. Like there's this nice like palm lined walkway alongside the beach, and the beach was massive, tons of great sand and all kinds of things going on. There's people playing volleyball, and there's people just sunbathing, people running along the beach. There was like a dance troupe out there.
No, I was about to say there was a ton of music. Like you couldn't go very far without hearing more music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we just took a bottle of wine, went out and sat on the beach for a while and walked along, and then came back to the place. It was a great way to just kind of chill out and soak in Valencia a little bit.
Yeah, kick off our time there, and I mean we didn't have much time there. We had one full day.
Yeah, we were just there 2 nights, so it was fast and furious.
And we were like up and running the next morning. We did a 7-mile run. And we did a park. We ran along, oh man, we hit a lot of places, but we ran down a park that used to be a river.
Mm-hmm.
And when they I guess closed up the river or the river dried up, they turned it into a long park. And so it gives you a lot of mileage, while you can be on a sidewalk and be within trees and all that kind of stuff. And there were so many runnable places.
Yeah.
Walkable places, tons of sidewalks, gravel paths, just a ton of, I don't know that we ever had to not walk on a sidewalk the whole time.
Yeah, we crossed a couple of streets because we chose to.
Yeah.
But especially that river park, I mean, you're removed from traffic.
Uh-huh.
And so, like you said, you're never crossing a street. You're out away from the noise and away from the exhaust and all of it, and could just run forever.
Yeah.
In this beautiful, beautiful park.
And we were even coming from and staying inside of or outside of the city center.
Right.
Which meant that like in a lot of cases, that might mean you don't have great accessibility, but they really did there. We didn't even end up using any of the public transportation. Did we?
Not for the run.
But
we did later in the day. But yeah, we just ran to and from our Airbnb.
Yeah, and we ended up hitting up a performing arts district, which was totally cool. Is a much different vibe, very modern, all white, tons of modern art and architecture, and then like these crazy cool like fountain areas where like this art would come up out of the water, and it was like different body parts that were massive, like 1 or 2 stories tall. Yeah. And they'd be reflecting on the water, and depending on what angle you were looking, they looked really, really cool. They looked like floating statues is the way they made them look.
Yes.
On top of this water, which was really cool. They were also preparing for some kind of red carpet event, because I remember, us looking through this like little barrier and being like, ooh, what's that over there? They're doing some kind of big event later on today. But that was a really good run from my perspective.
Yeah, it was a really cool run. The weather was great for it too. Like it was a little bit cool, like just the right running temperature where you could still run in shorts and stuff, and so much fun.
Yeah.
And that day we went back into the city center to explore it. Well, we went to the local cathedral, and we decided not to go in.
Right.
Because it would cost €8 to go in, and
a whopping €8, which looking back now, after going places like, Barcelona, where it's like €30 to go inside a cathedral, it is like, man, we should have just gone inside.
Yeah, we should have. I think we were just being cost cost conscious, and we didn't know much about it. And so it was like, well, you're just kind of taking a bit of a risk. And we had a ton of other stuff that we wanted to see. We were just there
True.
the one day. And so it's like, well, the time it would take and the money, so we'll just skip it. But we went to the Silk Exchange, which
Yeah.
is La Lonja de la Seda, I believe is how it's pronounced in Spanish. But it's this building. It used to be where silk merchants would come and do their trading back and forth. And it's this building that's just amazingly beautiful. And it's a pretty building from the outside, but when you go in, it has these huge, massive columns and these marble floors with these chandeliers. It is incredible to see.
It's so fancy.
So you can go watch the YouTube video. We have some footage from inside it. The Silk Exchange is something that you're definitely going to want to do when you're in Valencia. It was free to enter. I think they have audio guides and things like that cost a little bit if you want to pay for that, but you can get in for free. Just a beautiful building that you got to go see.
Yeah.
Another thing that you're going to definitely want to do if you are in Valencia is go to the Central Market. It is unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's the largest market with fresh produce in Europe. It is this amazingly beautiful building. It has these huge tall ceilings that are white with red accents, and so much more than a traditional market. A lot of times markets are kind of rough, but they're cool because you get to walk through and see everything, and they've got all the little booths and stuff, but they're maybe a little worse for wear on the outside, or the inside isn't that glamorous. But this market was so bright and so full of light and all of this excitement and sound and so many options for all this crazy food, all this amazing produce, that you just have to go check it out.
Yeah, the ceiling specifically, like we've been in a lot of markets at this point, and this one was, you just look up and you're like, wow, especially the center point of it all was just like, whoa, the ceiling is definitely the highlight here.
Yeah.
And how beautiful it was. And then the fact that it's the biggest in Europe, I mean, like, and it's the most beautiful. It's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
and you know, we were on a budget, but we did not really skimp on trying lots of food.
Yes, yeah, we were going to let ourselves spend money. That's half of the reason why we run also. It's like to see the city, but so that we can consume a lot of calories. Because we tried a bunch of stuff. We tried horchata
Yep.
for the first time. I don't think either of us had ever had it before.
Which, by the way, is really sweet. Just to like give you guys
Yes.
like a little more information about horchata, it's a Spanish drink. It's cold. It's it kind of tasted like it had some coconut milk in there, but it's very sweet. So it's just kind of fun.
Yeah. We tried tortillas, which are not like here in America. Like when we think of tortillas, we think like Tex-Mex food and like little flat tortillas, but these were very different. It was almost like a potato cake.
Yeah.
And you could get different kinds. I think you got queso, so yours had cheese in it.
And they're like pie shaped. People called them omelets too, which was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, that was different too. And the one I got had chorizo in it. It was really good. They're kind of like a quiche almost.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's the best way I think to describe it, is as a quiche,
Mhm.
because it's cut like it. It looks just like a slice of pie, but it's more like a potato quiche.
Yeah, more potatoy.
Yeah.
But
Well, and then you had an empanada,
mhm.
or we split one with like spinach and goat cheese inside, which was pretty good.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. That was
I
really
like
good.
bought some cherries that I just love fresh cherries. And my sister, I totally remembered that last time I had been in Spain, my sister had bought a big old bag of cherries, and we had to like leave the country really fast when France had a train strike, and so we were like running out of our hostel, like grabbing all of our stuff and leaving, and she left all of her cherries in the refrigerator at the hostel, and she'd spent like a ton of money on them. She's like a big old bag, and she was like so bummed about those cherries, and I was too. I was like, I know, man, those are gonna be good. And so I got some here in honor of you, Jessica. So you guys, if you want to listen to that episode with my sister, we talk about us being in Spain, in Barcelona. We actually had my credit card stolen while we were there. It's kind of a big deal, but you can go back and listen to that, and it is in our secret season. You'll see a Spain episode there.
We rounded up our food intake that day at the market with churros.
We did, and churros surprised me because I have always looked at churros. I haven't had churros very much. Maybe once before. I was surprised at the chocolate.
I was too. Like, I've had churros before, but never dipped them in anything. I think maybe in caramel a time or two, but in Spain, the traditional way that they're served is with chocolate. And I was surprised at the chocolate as well, because it's not like syrup, which is what I was expecting. I was expecting chocolate syrup.
Or fudge or something.
Right. Yeah. But it's more like a pudding almost.
Yeah.
And the pudding was also served hot.
Yeah.
So the churros were very fresh, like they had just made them, so they were still hot. And then you dip them in this chocolate pudding that was also very, very hot.
Yeah.
And that was just not at all what I was expecting. Really, really good, but not what I had anticipated.
It was also very, very hot outside.
Yes, it was.
That was kind of funny. But yeah, there was like this little outside bar that we were like sitting at. And it was like, again, so cute because you've got like, it almost feels kind of like a food truck, but they've got like literally like ceramic tiles also right here, and this like permanent little bar top outside is just like, wow, kind of fancy. Spain is fancy with their ornate tile work that they do. But then we did more beach time because Hillary. We went and just so you know, the beach that we're referring to is I'm gonna try not to butcher this, is Playa de la Malvaroso. And I'd like have a long pause after that. I'm not sure if I got that right. But it's, you know, the one right next to where we were staying, right next to the port and everything. And it was a much warmer afternoon that day. I do remember that. And I actually went for a swim. And I remember the water was so salty. It was like a different level of salty. I was like really surprised because I hadn't actually swam in San Sebastian, so I couldn't really compare it to that. But I was like, this is like super salty. And I kind of wish I could compare it because San Sebastian was a different ocean.
Right.
They're both in Spain, but like I feel like the Mediterranean Sea might be just like super salty. And I think I did look that up later at one point and find out that it was like crazy salty. Yeah, there were tons of women sunbathing topless, and like in San Sebastian it was a lot of like older people, like, you know, like older men sunbathing nude, or women sunbathing topless, but they were all older generations. But here it was like everyone was. And here is also where we saw people like sleeping, and they would like curl up in a little ball, kind of like they wouldn't really spoon each other, but they would curl up in these little fetal positions. And it's so odd to see people in their like skimpy bikinis or something, or like these full-grown men curling up in these tiny fetal positions.
I remember thinking that as well. And we kind of saw it through Spain and like all of southern France and Italy, where like, and it would be like on the beach or on little beach chairs and stuff. And grown men would be curled up in a little ball, like in the fetal position, taking a nap on the beach. And I had never seen anything like that. That's so strange to me.
Yeah. But totally socially acceptable.
Yeah. You could tell like it was not a big deal, not even giving it a second thought.
Yeah.
But in America, you would never curl up in a little ball like that to sleep on the beach.
Yeah. You're basically laying out on the beach to get sun in most of the cases, I feel like, in
Yeah.
America. So it's like all about like how you're laying and where you're laying to get the right sun.
Right.
And then here they're just like, we don't really care. Like, we just curl up in a ball because we're going to spend the whole day here and we're going to take a real good nap. And
Yeah, I'm just getting comfy and taking a nap.
yeah. But I have been curious. You and I have talked about this a little bit, but I was wondering if you would talk to everyone else just about like, what's it like to be an American male coming into an environment like that where we are not used to seeing people not wearing their clothes? You know, that's not the norm in America.
Right.
And as a man, is that, how does that feel?
It feels really strange because you feel like you don't know what to do with your eyes almost.
Yeah.
Like there's nowhere to look.
Mm-hmm.
Like because it is everywhere, and you think like, well, I'll get to my spot on the beach and then I'll just look out at the ocean.
Yeah.
And that'll be fine. But then someone will come and like sit in between you and the ocean, or people will be about in the ocean, and everywhere you look, there's just someone without clothes. And it's so it just takes you back a little bit, and I mean almost makes it a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I don't know what to do other than, I guess, lay down in the fetal position and take a nap. It's like like the only option.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's hilarious.
it feels really strange, and is hard to get used to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if you lived there and you went to the beach regularly for a summer or so, then it wouldn't feel strange anymore. But it does feel very foreign, and definitely reminds you like, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto. Like something different is here.
Yeah, for sure. It's also kind of weird being a woman, but I feel like with men, there's potential that you might get accused of staring or something more, or, you know, that you only come to the beach to look at like naked women or something. And
Right.
It's like, oh man, like I felt that burden, you know, on you, like that, like, oh gosh, like I bet he's like trying to figure out, because even I was like trying to figure out how to avert my eyes, and I'm like a woman that doesn't I don't know, I just feel like we don't there's not that stereotype as much that we're gonna like stand around and stare at people. So as like maybe a man, you know, looking out over the different women there or whatever, and that's what you're going to see a lot more of is women going topless is you know, one of the really common things. But yeah, that was interesting. And in Valencia, everyone was in very close proximity too. There was just a ton of people on the beach.
Just a lot of people.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, our last evening after we finished up on the beach, we knew we only had one more night, so we wanted to go out and eat some local food. We had tapas at Calamar, which was a local restaurant. We really wanted to get paella. We didn't realize that paella was a lunch thing.
Yeah, interesting note.
Yeah, and so we were all psyched up that like, oh, dinner tonight, we're going to have this really great paella at a place close, because we're staying in the Fisherman's Village part, and we'll do this paella thing. And we found that very few places served it in the evening, and those that did was only on the weekends.
Yeah.
That they would serve it in the evening. And so we didn't really have that option, but we did have really great food. We went and had some white wine.
I should just say, like, you had really great food, but I had some really interesting fish.
Oh, that's right.
And it wasn't good. I couldn't finish it.
That's right. Because I had a seafood salad.
Yes.
So my salad was nice, like with seafood. I had forgotten that you didn't particularly care for yours.
Like, it was like some of the little slivers of fish that I had was like, I don't even know what it was now, but it was so dense and chewy. I don't know. Like, I feel like it had to been something other than fish. Like, it was like, eel or something. Like, I have no idea, but it was so dense that it would be really firm to cut through. Like, if you had to cut through it. Well, cutting through it with a fork was like, okay, I have to work really hard to cut this.
Yeah.
It was intense. And the texture alone, I was like, I cannot swallow this texture. And so, yeah, which is funny because I loved all the other fresh fish stuff that we'd eaten. So this is a little, took me back a little bit.
We just went one step too far with this one.
Yeah, exactly.
We went to Marantlamar and had some white wine after, just sort of walked around our little section of town a little bit and wrapped up the evening that way, which was really nice. Like, the sun had gone down. We were getting more used to the later evenings of having dinner late and hanging out late as we moved from Northern Europe, where you have dinner really early, to
crazy early.
Yeah, and then had made the switch now. And I think we were getting more acclimated to that. And so it was just a really nice evening and a nice way to end our one real day that we got to spend a full day in Valencia.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, I really liked it. It had a lot of good vibes, good energy in Valencia, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and then our next stop was Barcelona, which was a little further north.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kind of making our way along the coast and going up, and then we were going to head back up. This is kind of as south as we got in Valencia.
Yeah.
Was Valencia. And then making our way along the coast, we end up heading into Barcelona. We went to Cannes, France, and we had to go back into France.
Yep, one more time in France.
Yeah, then Monte Carlo, and then kind of down along the Italian coast. Oh, there's so much good stuff ahead. Oh my goodness.
So much good stuff.
And you can find all of that stuff here on the podcast. We talk about it. We also have our YouTube channel where we're putting out videos that show you the things that we're talking about. We also are on social media, so you can find us on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and doing all the things, especially if you just don't have time to watch like a 10-minute video, 15-minute video. You can always just look at our feed on TikTok or Instagram, and you'll see a lot of fun clips that kind of give you a taste for some of this stuff. So
yeah, when an episode drops, we put some stuff out there to kind of support it. So you want to check us out there. And we are excited to tell you about a new way that we want to hear from you. We want to bring you into the podcast, make you a part of things.
Yeah.
And so with that in mind, we have an email address that you can reach out to us on. It's travelfomopodcast@gmail.com. That's travelfomopodcast@gmail.com. And you can send us any information you want us to have there. But what we really would like for you to do, and are requesting that you do, is pull out your phone, record a little voice memo telling us about a trip you took or some travel experience you had or something that maybe our conversation reminded you of. Send it to us in an email and we'll feature it here on the show. We'll be selecting some and putting them in future episodes so that your story can get out there as well as ours. We know that you have probably seen and done some crazy things that we want to hear all about. Of course, if you just have questions or if you have some constructive compliments that you want to give us or things that we could improve upon, you can let us know through that email as well. So just reach out to us with anything you got at travelfomopodcast@gmail.com.
I am so excited about that new edition. I feel like we should have done it sooner. It's just going to be so nice to hear from people directly, and then hopefully you guys, we just want you to use the email account, so whatever you want to send us, but we love the idea of hearing your stories and being able to share your stories audibly with everyone else. So you can type those stories up, or you can use the voice memo option to tell your story yourself and hear your own voice here on the podcast. Okay, and that concludes all of the requests that we have for you guys. Now go out and live fully, because life is so short.
Wander well.